Sweet. Check, check. Okay, to start off, 11th 250 Supercross class victory, tying Ricky Carmichael for 11th in all time. Hayden, this is 4 in a row. We know this is what you do, but winning in the manner that you do, where you're kind of just in your own zip code up there, honestly, does it ever get old?
I enjoy it, especially, a win's cool, 2 wins is cool, but when you can do 4 in a row like this, it's a dream come true. It's my first ever time doing that in a Supercross series, and I believe that's the first ever time I've gotten 4 wins in a row in general, but it just feels good knowing all the hard work I put in this offseason, and I wasn't going to say anything leading up to this race, but during the week, I was so sick after that race, I couldn't even stand up while I was riding. I tried to get some laps in. I'm sleeping until the race, and somehow got my body recovered enough to still win.
That was tonight. Today you haven't been feeling well.
Oh,
or last
no, that
week.
was the day after the last race. I tried to ride Tuesday, and I was about to do so weak I couldn't even stand up. So it's crazy how, just heart, it really, really comes down to.
You seem unfazed by it. You further increased your points lead tonight. Is this any sort of weight off your shoulders? Like going into a night like tonight, just knowing you continue to grow that points gap, is that any sort of weight off your shoulders?
I don't think there's ever weight off my shoulders. I'm held to a high accountability because of who I am and what I've done on a dirt bike at such a young age. So I feel like the pressure each weekend is exactly the same, no matter if I have a 30-point lead or a no-point lead. So it fuels me and it makes me better.
Hayden, the decision to stay 250 for another year of Supercross, it seems like if there were any imperfections or anything you wanted to work on last year, you've really fixed. And out there, is this why you wanted to make the decision? Are you feeling like you're ready to make this step now? Because out there, it doesn't look like there's many mistakes at all.
Yeah, that was a big thing to me. I was like, okay, we can go race a 450, but I'm still young. I still have another year to defend my title. I'm like, why? It would be kind of stupid to go race a 450 when I still have to get better in Supercross, and I feel like I've went to another level than I was last year. You can just watch and see, and I had a lot of work to do, and I feel like I'm slowly checking all those boxes off, and the time will come next year when I race a 450.
Scott, you're Arjimoto now. How much of that race was just trying to manage the lead versus actually putting down your best laps?
Yeah. I feel like when I could get a hole shot like that, I feel like those first few laps I was able to sprint away and get a decent little gap where you kind of manage it. It is fun to see how big of a gap you can put on them, obviously, but this kind of now we're getting almost past the halfway point in this season, and it's time to be smart too. So the best bet is to manage a gap and ride smart, and the only way you can get better is just nailing these races each week.
Also, were you keeping tabs on Levi coming through the pack? At one point moved into second and was catching up quite a bit, or?
I could care less.
Well, Hayden, I know that at Star you guys tend to prepare when you know that there might be inclement weather for the upcoming race. Of course, we're going to Seattle. Who knows what's going to happen with it? So fast forward to this week, do you anticipate that they may flood the track and get you guys prepped in that way?
Yeah, now that I'm feeling better, I feel like I can go do some proper training this week and do some motos and kind of get back in the flow of things. And rain or shine, I have a huge points lead now, so I'll feel comfortable and just go do what I do best.
Nicely done. Levi, incredible fight from you. You mentioned, of course, your frustration with the start, but beyond that, all other departments of your performance tonight, are you satisfied with them?
Yeah, everything else was good. I've had a few rides like this this season already. I just didn't fall in the first turn, so I knew I could at least get to second. I would have obviously liked to catch up more, but it's just you can't give away that much time that early and expect that, especially to Hayden, who's hole shotting and riding really well. So, it was a good night. A lot of positives, but, my Achilles heel has been the starts. So, just work on those all week. It's probably what I'm going to do. I'm happy with my riding, so it's not like I need to go back and figure out how to ride the dirt bike. That's pretty dialed. So, I'm going to stay out in California this week and then go into Seattle and hopefully get off the line a little better.
And bear with me here because I didn't get to watch a replay of the start, but I believe last week you had alluded to there were some issues with the starting device. On the start, was that a part of the equation tonight, or was this on you?
No, this was completely on me. I came out of the gate horrible, and then, it wasn't as terrible, I guess you could say, but I lined up pretty far inside, and Anstey and Mumford came out like a rocket. So, once they came out good, they pinched me off. The guys on the right pinched me off, so I couldn't really go anywhere. And I've been trying to learn how to like cut down and get out of a situation like that, but I had nowhere to go. I couldn't even cut down and try to make some spots up. So I was just like rolling around the first turn in like 16th or something. So it was a bummer, but.
Ryan with Cycle News. Watching the lap times, like the whole second half of the race, you were the fastest rider on track. Was there anything specific, like specific lines or anything you were doing to make up that time?
No, and it's hard to say. Like, I mean, I know I was the fastest guy on the track the second half, but I also know the position Hayden was in. You know, when you control the race from the front like that, I mean, it's pretty easy. You know, I've been there. You can kind of just manage it, and he probably feels pretty safe when he looks back and he sees, you know, the other guys are a ways back, and especially I'm 10 seconds back on the first lap. So I can't keep doing that, but I'm just going to keep trying. Hopefully I can get up there and you know, just give the fans what they want. You know, hopefully a good battle, and that's what I look forward to.
Andrea with Moto Now. Were you keeping tabs on Deegan up front? Were you? Did you realize you were catching him, or were you just kind of focusing on your own race?
Yeah, I mean, I watch for everybody every lap. You know, I just kind of try to pick my targets, and obviously I didn't even care where he was until it was the next guy in front of me. But I just picked the guy in front of me, and at one point, I don't even know who it was in front of me because I was so far back. But, you know, like when I closed in a little bit and I saw maybe it was Ryder, Cameron, and then Michael, like I just try to look up to them and see if I'm closing in. And you could tell when a guy's getting, you know, tired or they're just losing a little bit of pace. And I'm really happy with my fitness and all my training, so I feel really good.
Adam from Track Talkers. I heard from a very reliable source, Lewis Phillips, that you were working on starts with Ken Roxon. He said you had to change a lot of stuff. You kind of had to like think about everything in a new way. We didn't get to start tonight. Did we have another whole shot device issue? And wow, your speed is so good. What's it going to take to get the start and come away with the win?
Yeah, I have been doing a lot of work with Ken and Joey and just all the guys at Sandbox have been trying to help me. But, yeah, I mean, I've been starting the same way since I was 16 years old, and that's way up on the tank and kind of making the bike almost where I can dump the clutch. And the bikes are getting so fast I can't dump the clutch anymore. I'm pissed, dude. So, like, I'm trying to learn how to just release the clutch and kind of slip it, and I'm horrible at it. So, like, we've changed kind of where I'm sitting, and Ken's been trying to help me out. But, yeah, I'm going to trust in it because, I mean, that's how the best starters start. You know, he's a good starter, and even Brayton was texting him, helping me out. And so I'm trying to look at photos of guys that are good, you know, Vince and those guys, and just trying to take it all in. And you'd think at my level I would know how to do a start, but it's not great, so I got to figure it out.
Levi, Johnny with Moto Unfiltered. Do you wish that you had an extra 10 minutes because you were coming on strong after you got around your teammate and some other riders? And then earlier yesterday, talking with Mitch, he was saying that he's trying to get you guys to be more aggressive. Did he mean be more aggressive with each other? Because you guys were kind of going back and forth with you and McAdoo.
Yeah, I mean, more time would have obviously been good, but you know, obviously too long on a Supercross track, it just gets kind of sketchy. But, like, yeah, a 20-minute made would be fine. But it still wouldn't have, you know, like I was telling them, Hayden's just managing a race. I've been there before. Yes, I do feel like had I started with him tonight, like we could have had a great race. But, you know, it's different when you're out front. You can just manage it. You don't have guys anymore that race to try to beat everybody by 20 seconds. Maybe he does. I don't know. But and then to your point with being aggressive, yeah, I mean, Mitch just wants us to run it in on people, and I did my best. Like, I made a lot of aggressive passes in that main event, and that's the only way I made it up there. I mean, you have to. There was not really places to pass. So Cameron was messing with me after the race because I ran in on him, but he didn't really know I was there, and he comes off. He's like, "You're the dirtiest rider ever," and he got me for a second. He was all serious. I felt so bad. And he's like, "I'm just messing with you, too. I would have done the same thing."
Okay, Cameron, with this once again, these podiums becoming once again this year a regular occurrence, how is this affecting your goals or expectations with each passing round, or is it the same objective each time out?
I don't think my goals and objective have changed. I think, like I've said in the past few weekends, these aren't surprising to me. It feels nice to be able to do them, you know. back to San Diego getting second, that wasn't, like I had said in the past weekends, that didn't really feel like a second place ride, but I'm a racer. I'm a gamer, and I'm going to get myself in positions. If I don't put myself in great positions early on, I'm going to do everything and dig deep to get myself back into those positions. So the way I rode tonight, and even last weekend, but even more so tonight, was probably the most confidence inspiring I felt, probably the best I felt throughout a main event tonight. Like, I got passed back into fourth on the first lap due to a line choice. Just kind of picked it apart and knew where I was going to be better, passed rider back. Again, made a mistake later on with like 3 laps to go, and my teammate Levi passed me, and I looked up and I saw Mosman up there, and I could tell that he was maybe a little bit deflated, and I wasn't done, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a bonus tonight. So, yeah.
Andrew from Moto Now. We saw you have a moment with your sister after the race and on the podium. Could you just speak to how special it is to share that with your family?
Yeah, it was super special. Like, it's kind of, I know it's almost been like a storyline the last few weeks and whatnot, and that's by no means what I'm trying to make it into at all. But my sister and I are literally best friends. She's my best friend. We bought a house together in 2020, and we lived together. Not a lot of people know that, but yeah, like my wife, myself, my sister, and my sister-in-law all live together. So that's how close we are. And she got sent off on like a bit of a last-minute deployment, and so we haven't had her for a while, and it's tough. Like, anyone that has family members in the military knows it's really tough, especially how scary the news can be. Her communication gets cut off. We see what we see on the news, and you guys see us sending these aircraft carriers and all these fleets overseas to fight. My sister's on that, and so yeah, she literally flew like pretty much all week, 17-hour flight straight from Bahrain back, and she actually changed her own commercial flights just to be able to get back, and she got back to California and got in a car and drove down here and made it here after qualifying tonight. And it was really cool to have her here and special for my family.
Super cool. Ryan with Cycle News. My question, it seems like today you were seemed like relying on Levi a little bit. Like during qualifying, it seemed like you followed him in for that fast lap, and then in the main event, when he got around you, I feel like you kind of picked the pace up again a little bit. Is that what it was, or can you just talk about it from your point of view?
It's funny. I was just chatting with Hunter out there, and he was like, "Hey, mate, like, I have a question. Like, why do you? I see you follow Levi in qualifying. If you guys know, like, I mean, I'm not very good in qualifying. I'm not very good at qualifying. Like the first few rounds, I think I qualified like 11th to 10th or whatever. So honestly, like, it ended up being Levi this weekend. But I'll jump in with anyone who I know is going to just throw down a burner in qualifying, toe into a lap, do some riding together, and it's fun, honestly, to ride together in practice. I know Levi's going to throw down a really sick lap, find some different lines, and just I do better at racing. Like I literally just race him for one lap in qualifying, and I mean today, for example, my better lap before that would have put me like 12th, literally. And if I would have qualified 12th tonight, I would still be here talking to you guys, and I know that. So it makes for a better 2 or 3 hours in between qualifying to the night show. So that's what that is. The main event deal, like, yeah, we're all racing for positions. It wasn't really that I picked it up after he passed me. Obviously, I mean, you guys saw his pass on me. Like, it was extremely aggressive as it needed to be to get around me, but respectful. Like, that's how we race. But yeah, to be honest, after he passed me, I was in fourth. I looked up, and I had more in the tank, and I knew I had more in the tank than the guy ahead of me. So that's what I did.
Chase Curtis, Swapman Live. I think like 6 or 7 laps to go. You made a bit of a mistake in case that double over the first turn. How soon are you able to brush moments like that off and just charge back to where you can make a podium pass late in the race?
I mean, you have to immediately. And what was funny was I wasn't actually hitting that lane and doubling over the first turn. I was going double, triple, and then singling. But I went double, triple, and I clipped that first triple, so I wasn't going to be able to go triple again. So I had to go double, and I knew that I had someone like kind of right there. I didn't know if it was Ryder or Levi. So I went double, and like our bikes don't have enough power to go 2 and then 2 across. But I knew that I couldn't go double and then single. So I was like, I might as well just case this, like that at worst case. But I was just on the phone with my trainer, Nick, on the way down here. I'm like, dude, like that late in the race, anyone that rides a dirt bike knows, like when you've put that much effort out for that long, to case something like that takes some out of you. But and then case it, get stuffed, block passed by somebody, and then regather yourself and make, have to make a pass was like, I was proud of that. It was, you just got to do your next best thing always, no matter what, whether it's doing whatever you do in life or racing Supercross. So that's the mindset I have. Thank you, guys.
All right, Hunter, I believe this puts you as our new points leader. So what does this change anything for you, or at the very least feel like a pat on the back to the work you've been putting in?
I think it's just my consistency. Call it for what it is. Everyone's talked about it. And yeah, second again. So we focus on the positives. I just felt a little flat. Didn't quite. Normally I feel like I get to the 10-minute mark and kind of just, all right, we're on, and just really start feeling like really, really good. Just couldn't quite get into that tonight. So I tried to make a push at the end with Kenny, and just, close a little, but not enough, a little too late. So yeah, but happy to have the red plate. It's cool in the 450 Supercross Championship. That's something I couldn't say enough before the season opened. I was like, I got the first Supercrosses circled on the calendar for this year. Motocross and SMX we have sorted okay, not bad. So yeah, this was the one.
Adam from Track Talkers. One of the biggest things about our sport is we are all very, very competitive. And now you've gotten second to every single other guy, and you haven't been able to be on the top step of the podium. How do you keep your ego in check to not over-push it for the win? And at what point do you feel like you maybe need to force it and get a win in this season?
I mean, I think you need to force it and get a win whenever you can, right? But at the same time, I'm just out there, and first thing I focus on is a start and get around the first turn. There's 40 different outcomes that can happen in that first turn out of my control. I could have a whole shot and someone comes together with someone behind me and hits me from behind. We've seen that happen before. So that's the first thing that I focus on, and then from there it's the rest of the race, and you're analyzing every second of the race. Obviously I seen Eli down when we came back on the start straight. I'm like, all right, that's obviously in my favor for points wise, but just focus ahead. Kenny had that sand line really good, switched to that, tried to get my rhythm, but I don't know, I just evaluate as I go, and I'm always trying to just push to the limit. Sometimes, going over the limit ends badly, so I try to just, flirt with that line as best as I can.
How do you keep your ego in check, though, of dude, I know you want to win. I know you want to win. You have to be thinking about it in these races. How do you just go, no, championship's more important, or today I just got to do it?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say my ego. I mean, I have a competitive ego out there for sure that pushes me and gets me out of bed every single day. But at the same time, I'm the kind. It's more like an evaluation, I care, but I don't really care, and I feel like that's an effective method for me. And it's just, if I win, I still got to come back and race next weekend and the weekend after. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really think the ego is what kind of pushes me. My job is to win and do the best I can for Honda and myself. So,
Nick with Trans World Motocross. Hunter, what does it truly mean to have the red plate in the 450 class? Because when you look back to 2020, you were really contemplating retirement and being a practice mechanic for Jet.
Yeah, it's cool. It'll probably sink in a little later. Man, I don't know. I just want the red plate at the last round. That's plain and simple. That's where I really value it. Now it's cool, we've seen guys in the past have it for a round and two. I just want to keep it, but the last one is the one that I want it the most at. And yeah, from 2020 to be here, the amount of work and it's kind of tough to put into words. how much goes into getting to this point. So yeah, for sure, it is pretty damn cool.
Aaron Hansel with Racer X. Could you go into a little bit more detail on Kenny's pass on you on what happened? You were a length or two ahead, and I looked down for half a second, and I looked up, and positions had changed.
Yeah, I thought the outside, they kind of like dozed it up the exit of that turn. Majority of the day, that was a better run into that double triple. So I thought, kind of going around there and carrying more speed, but I just hadn't gone inside yet in the race, and I didn't realize how good it actually was. That's literally all it was, honestly. I didn't realize how good that inside was, and then, yeah, sure enough, after I got past, I went inside for the rest of the race. So, yeah, that's on me.
Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. Hunter, we've gone to talk to you the past couple weekends in this media scrum. We haven't talked a lot about during the week as you've been chasing this first win in Supercross, as you've been close. Have you just been sticking it out, keeping the workload as usual? Has there been any testing? Have you been searching for anything during the week? What does that process look like as of recent?
Yeah, we're trying to get the bike better and just kind of fine tune it to more so to what I feel like I need and what would help me trust the bike a little more in the first 10 minutes. I kind of get going after 10 minutes when I know exactly what the bike's doing everywhere. I'm not willing to kind of, take the risk and have it do something that I'm not ready for or something like that and throw it away. So, yeah, we're still kind of not poking along. I say poking along, but no, we're doing it with urgency, obviously, to get the bike where ultimately I feel I can be unbeatable on.
Thanks, Hunter.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Cooper Webb, it was just a few weeks ago you had said that you felt like you were out of this points championship. I know you redacted that sentiment, but just in 3 rounds' time, you've made a major chip away at that points deficit. So does that do anything for you?
Oh, for sure. Whenever you're gaining points towards the red plate, it's always nice. So, yeah, it's encouraging. It shows that there's a lot of racing left. Anything can happen, as we know. And, yeah, just for me, getting the ball rolling, being on the podium here was awesome. It was a great day for us overall. And, yeah, I've turned it around last year here, but this is definitely a place that I'm circling on the calendar by any means. So it was nice to have a good night and even gain points at the end.
Webb, Johnny with Moto Unfiltered. How is this race as far as, I guess, silencing the media, right? Because last weekend it was like, oh, it was a triple crown. It was short races. We're not sure if he can hang the entire race. But here, you were there the entire race, and it looked like you had more in the tank.
Yeah, it was like I said. It's. I know what I can do on a motorcycle. Obviously, the media is one thing, but overall, I don't know if anyone's truly doubting me. But there's always a little bit, right? There's always people and sponsors, and sometimes even the team and whoever else can kind of be on you a little bit. But it is nice to just keep the momentum rolling. Like you said, last weekend was a win, but I felt like I was up there and I'm a guy. But tonight was kind of insurance on that, to really stamp, hey, I am a top runner. And I think Kenny was riding really, really well, as we saw, but felt like I was right there with Hunter. Just kind of fell off at the end with a few mistakes, but I'm happy. Like I said, to be on the podium in this field is not easy right now, and to get the ball and momentum going is nice.
What made the track hard to pass?
I think just the same lines, which I know they try to make it better for us, but we're all doing the same thing, and just a lot of long rhythms with less corners than maybe normal. But it was extremely hard to pass, honestly. So that's why I'm happy with my podium, because you were a bad start away from potentially not having a good night. So I was happy with my podium and my good start on the main event and to run up front. And but yeah, I think this one, it doesn't break down super gnarly. You kind of hit the same line. It doesn't get super ruddy. So it's almost like we call the test tracks, where it's like just one kind of groove around the whole track. And that was kind of how, to me, tonight kind of was.
Cool. JC, mate. Do you, like, the start of the season, obviously, on paper, it was pretty terrible for the first couple rounds, but I feel like the riding was there. You get the whole shot, basically, at A1, and then that gets red flag, totally changes the scenario, and then you get taken out by Chase at the next round. So it's like you kind of just, the results on paper didn't reflect how good you were riding. So internally, when that happens, do you just know for a fact, like, oh, I'm actually riding way better than these results look like? At some point, the ball will drop and the results will come, and you just kind of let everybody talk their talk and you know what's actually going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, I feel like the riding was never truly the issue. Just some stuff that was in my control and stuff out of my control. But on paper, yeah, you know, a 8 and a 7 and or whatever, I think it was a 7 and a 5, you know, isn't by any means where you want to start off. And, you know, that night at A2, I think for me was actually the best that at the time that I had ridden. And I felt like I was riding good enough to potentially win that night. And same, like you said, A1 with that whole shot, you're leading. You know, even in that one, I crashed with Hunter when I was running, I think, 4th. So just some weird things on me. And then, yeah, getting taken out, just some stuff like that kind of put us back a little bit. So I never lost faith, but there's such an urgency, right? It's easy to say, hey, I'm riding good, but the results are the results, whether it's your fault or not. And some people see that, some people don't. And it's a slippery slope when you're the champ. There's a lot of pressure on you. And yeah, not everyone, you know, is always going to pat you on the back when things are tough, that's for sure.
Adam from Track Talkers. My brother and I have been talking about this a little bit on the podcast. We found out at the first round that you are riding the 25 instead of the 26. And we also seen you come out to those first rounds, just like Jay said, and kind of, I felt like put some added pressure on yourself to go now and make this a good start. Was starting on that 25 and, you know, that added pressure that kind of made it just a little too much for you to be comfortable on the bike?
Not so much. I mean, like you said, I think the pressure was coming from internally, but even with that being said, it was, I wouldn't say pressure-related start to the season, in my opinion, but it was just, like I said, when you're the championship guy on a championship team, on a team that is built for winning, there's a lot of expectation there, and when you're not even your best results of 5th in 3 rounds, you know, whether it was you got struck by an asteroid, it don't matter. It's your fault. So it was something that, you know, was good to just get a win last week, get a good result tonight, claw back into these points. And you see Eli firing at the beginning, but as we saw tonight, like, it can swing in an instance in motorsports. You know, that's the good and the bad, and that was where my attitude was. Hopefully these first ones were just my bad races, and I got them hopefully out of the way.
Cooper, Jack from Racing Jack. There's been a lot of talk about the media counting you out. Do you like that role? Do you thrive like a football team who likes being the underdog?
I do like it to a degree, you know, and it is what it is. I think we talk about it, and everyone does say that and stuff, but I truly don't mind it. I've said it for a long time. I'm not the flashiest guy out there. I'm not going to blow you away with something that I do that's maybe on the dirt bike, like just, holy crap, did you see that? But I am a good racer, obviously, so for me, it's something that I know what I do. I don't really care what people think or say, but it's good to also remind people that I am a 3-time champ and can run up here with any and all the best in the world.
All right. Well, Ken, it's been extremely apparent your desire and your hunger to win this year. But now this first win of the year, 2026, where does this mean? Up in 2026 is the competition they don't slack.
Since it is becoming more rare for me to win, not for lack of trying, but they just get sweeter and sweeter, you know. I've come close many times, but the competition is so stiff, and it's even just hard getting on the podium. So winning in a fashion like this, got a good start, and then I was trying to find my feet because I knew Hunter. I haven't been able to get by him right away in some of the other races that we have had. And so I was trying to just be patient, but it did seem like I just had a bit more momentum around the track and was able to make it happen pretty quickly there. But I knew that I was in for a long main because, first off, he's not just going to let go. And second, we had, I don't know, probably at least 15 minutes to go or something along those lines. So I try not to look at the tower, look at the time, and really take it bit by bit, make it through halfway, and then kind of go from there, you know. Never really worried about the time, I guess, too much, but clicking off my laps, and I feel like I was going really fast there for a sec. And then once we got closer down, I saw it was kind of like a heat race, so then you kind of put yourself in the mental state of like, okay, it's a heat race, you know what I mean? It's like 6-7 laps, whatever, you got this. And then you get further and further down the line, and that was 5 laps ago, and so you kind of play these little mind games to stay locked in, and I guess, you know, you never want to celebrate mentally too early. You know, things can happen really quick. So it was very, very important for me to stay locked in all the way till the end, and then 2 laps to go, 1 lap to go. I actually think my mechanic showed me 3 laps to go, and then luckily we came around and it was only 2 or something along those lines. So we actually did 1 lap less than what I got told on the pit boards. I was like, I saw the white flag. I'm like, yes. Just because the track is tricky in a way that you have these 90-degree turns onto the tabletops. The tabletop was so messed up and potholed out. Like, it would have been very easy to, get bucked. So it just washing the front end, the tiny little rut that you had was like, if you don't pay attention, your knobby will go over and just tuck the front. Something stupid like that can happen without even, you're not realizing it. So I'm beyond stoked. It hasn't really set in yet.
Fantastic.
Michael Lindsay from BioMX. Ken, I know the last 2 weeks have been a little tougher with Larry Brooks' absence due to his battle with cancer. Larry's legendary. He's won titles with McGrath, with Stewart, with Reed. He came to the HEP team to help build it into a program to get a guy like you. And coincidentally, you guys basically ended up there the same year and have really accelerated this program together. So, I mean, beyond what Larry is as a team manager, can you tell us about your guys' relationship and what he's done for you, and just kind of talk to us about that?
Since my dad isn't really here, I talk to my dad almost every day or every single week, for sure, about racing and whatnot, but he can be my dad. And funny part is, the relationship that Larry and I have, he's a little bit like my dad here without having my dad here, if that makes sense. So he's so genuine, and the game plan, like every time I'm out there, I want to make him proud. I want to make us proud, and it just feels like, I guess, a little bit honored to be able to ride for him because of his history in the past with champions and all the riders that he has represented and done really cool things with. And I think before we even got together, the time where he was working for B teams and maybe not winning or being on the podium constantly, I know that's ultimately what he wanted. And for me to be able, or for us to be able to get there in the fashion that we did, is a moment that I've always, like, it's really close in my heart. It really is. So having him not here was a tough pill to swallow for the last few rounds, but we all got his back. His health is the most important in all of this, and to me, it feels like he's here anyway, because we talk morning till night, no matter what. We keep in the loop. We watch Dartfish together, send each other videos, and he analyzes everything. So for what it is, I still feel like he's somewhat present.
Is it that family dad touch that makes him so different than any other team manager you've had, like in that sense, that personal family feel?
I think so. I mean, to be honest, he's really the only team manager that I've ever had that when we go down to the line, he's right there. He's right on the start. He doesn't care about being in the manager. Actually, hates being in the manager tower because he can't really see anything. So, or it's just position funky sometimes where you don't really see the whole track. So he would probably ride the bike for me, honestly, if he could. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to be right there, and that's what I love about him, because every time we go down, we look at the start, we talk before, we make a game plan, and we execute exactly what we talk about every single time. And I think since we have done that over the last 3 years or 4 years, however long we've worked together, it's just become a natural relationship that it's the funnest team or best team manager that I've ever raced for, hands down.
Adam from Track Talkers. Last week you voiced a few problems that you had, why it kept you away from the win. This week you went out and you straight smoked these guys. I mean, you put a lead down, you had the speed. It was phenomenal. What do you take away mentally, physically from this win, and having, in this day and age, really, that's a huge lead?
Nothing really, if I'm going to be honest. You know what I mean? I want to go home. We're flying home tonight. We have a red-eye home. My son was here. My wife was here. I want to go back home and do all my things that I do with the kids. Be mad at them, yell at them, get over them. I need to get out of here, I really don't want anything to change. So I think that's just part of keeping a level head. Of course, I'm going to analyze and look at the race and whatnot, and it feels great. But at the same time, after the race is before the race, and so I'm going to enjoy this tonight. I'm going to enjoy this tomorrow. But nonetheless, once you're in the season, the weeks are very short. So like we talked earlier, there's not really a whole lot going on in between because you have 3 days at home. You try to recover, you put in a good day, recover for the weekend. So I'm just going to go back and go back. Yeah.
Kenny, this track was incredibly fast, and there's a lot of wood chips in places that were kind of mixed with the sand. You guys were dragging the bars in the back section across the start. Hunter said that it was very difficult to pass, but yet you were able to kind of just walk through people and then manage the race by just being gone. What made you able to walk away from it?
Oh, I feel him when it comes to passing, because in the heat race, I did really struggle. Like, it just was hard to, because of the speed that we have. I mean, you get into the turn before the finish line with, I mean, what are you going to do? It's inside, outside, and then that was one spot you can pass. But other than that, you could just rail everything so hard. And then the jumps, a lot of speed. And honestly, the obstacles were pretty tall and steep. I wasn't in love with it, to be quite honest. Like, during press day and Saturday and during practice, it just, I don't know, maybe it's just me getting older too, but like, you're hitting these freaking 5-foot walls, you know, and your freaking body collapses and you're jumping all over the place. So I don't know, it's just, every track has its unique trickiness, you know what I mean? This was not so much that, oh, it's ruddy in between and like kind of gnarly that way, but it was a fast track, and the rhythms, just because of the floor plan that we have here, they're always a little bit funky, if that makes sense, you know? Sometimes we have long-ass rhythm lanes with a tiny kink in it, just like we had here, and I don't know, it's just every venue has a little bit of its uniqueness, so I don't know. It worked out in the main, obviously, and it just definitely helps getting a good start. Just not being in between riders, just because, to be quite honest, on this far rhythm lane here, before we get back to the mechanics area, when you go so fast and you hit these walls, like, sometimes it almost feels like you're having a little bit of a tire roll. So when you're trying to pass somebody that's kind of like riding in the middle, and you have to, you know, you can vary in the jumps like ever so slightly because you're hitting them really fast, you know, and you're not always going to land within the inch that you think you're going to land, you know? So it's just, every track has its difficulty.
Aaron Hance with Racer X. Hunt, you set up that pass on Hunter in the sand section. Just a few minutes ago, Hunter told us that he had no idea that inside line had gotten so much faster. Was that something that you had figured out, or was it a happy accident?
Nope. We talked about it. Me and my mechanic talked about it before the main, because Levi was hauling the mail and he was taking the inside. So I made sure in the parade lap that I kind of shaped that rud or that line as good as I could. Obviously, there were a lot of riders behind me that, you know, they can mess it up or whatever, but I kind of knew that the inside, when you double that and you kind of land perfect, which that is the tricky side of things, because it's either you double in and you kind of miss the rut and then you mess the whole section up, or you land where you want to land and you can make that whole turn one motion. And honestly, 95% of the race, I was able to just pinpoint exactly where I landed. And then without any effort, I made it one motion, and just from mid-turn to exiting, I had so much momentum going forward. I was almost sometimes able to not necessarily skim that section, but I was able to like slap my front on the top of the jump and push through it and whatever. I do feel like that was my probably strongest area on the track.
Yeah, there was 8 laps. That rut was perfect, dude. It was so good. So coming into this season, you're on a bike that you haven't changed for a long time. A lot of your main competition is either changing manufacturers or changing new models. You and Hunter are probably some of the only top guys that stayed on a very similar machine. Are you analyzing that at the point, like at the start of the year, being like, you know what, I'm actually in a really great position with my motorcycle because all of these guys are dealing with change. Even Coop, he stayed with the same team, but he's dealing with a new motorcycle. Did you kind of have a feeling coming into this season that, hey, this actually might be a really great chance for me because I am so familiar and everybody else is on a completely different scenario?
For sure. I mean, you know, first off, I have been happy with my motorcycle for quite some time now. So I take that in the bank, right? Like my confidence in me just grows with that because I'm not changing clickers or having to deal with a whole bunch of changes and figuring out what I like. And so, yeah, of course, going into the first, that's a big relief, big weight off the shoulder, not having to deal with a bunch of changes. Having said that, I think it really depends, because if you're a guy like Eli, or if you're with a team for 3-4 years, like he may have exactly been looking, like if his inner desire is like, man, I need to change, I want to go somewhere else, then that can be fine too, especially if it works out and the whole package is pretty good from the get-go. It doesn't always have to be negative, but you do run into the risk of it not working out, right? For me, I wasn't really in the mindset of changing everything upside down and starting over again with a new team. I really don't know if at this very moment, if that would have been the smartest idea for me. So sticking with it, I trusted it, and I really haven't been wanting to go anywhere.
Congrats on the win, mate.
Dustin Pipes, congratulations to you and the entire team on tonight's win. Did this one feel maybe extra meaningful, maybe even given the news that you and the team came out with yesterday about Larry Brooks?
Yeah. It's some news that we knew coming into A2. We just didn't know when we were going to make it public. So I know this is a win that the team and Ken has been wanting for a while. I think he tried really hard at Anaheim too, and I think that's why he kind of rushed that first lap and stuff like that. So I think to just kind of get that weight off his shoulders, get a win for Larry and stuff. I know they're very, very close. So I think it feels good for Ken, and I know I was texting with Larry, and he's pissed to be in a chair right now, but he's stoked on the win.
Glad to hear it.
Jason from RacerX. Dustin, I know you want to keep the focus on your riders, but your story probably isn't told enough. You used to race out here. You were a privateer guy. What even gave you the vision to start a team like this, and did you have a vision that it would get to this level where you're winning races every year?
Yeah, I think it's how the team started is I was sitting at a table with the president of Suzuki, and I got bored and told him I was going to start a race team, and I think they thought I was joking. And I said that they were going to support it, and they said okay, and I think they thought I was joking. And then a month later, I called them and said we're doing it. So kind of funny how it started. Yes, I thought we were always going to be here. That was always the goal. We just knew we needed a different route to get there because we weren't a billion-dollar corporation, right? So we just had to take some time and work our way through it and figure out how to get better. And yeah, no, we always planned on being a winning race team. Yeah.
What's Ken like working with during the week? Of course, he's talked about, I know you mentioned as well, that you guys are in a good place with that bike. Is he pretty demanding? He surely knows what he wants at this point in his career. What's he like during the week?
He's turnkey. I think this is year 5 with him. We know what he wants. We know what he needs. I think for us, it's just trying to kind of keep him in the right, not the right mindset, but just keep him on track to where he's not overdoing it through the week. So for us, it's just keep the train on the tracks.
Dustin, can you talk a little bit more about Suzuki's involvement and how it's grown or changed over the years from when you first started the team?
Yeah, I think they see us doing good, so they want us to continue to try and win, to compete for podiums and compete for titles. So they have our full support, and we have theirs. So.
We had seen in the heat race, I believe it was, some close racing between the teammates, between Ken and Jason Anderson. What's your analysis of Jason's performance tonight?
I thought he rode great. Unfortunately, he fell in the first corner, and I don't think it shows the speed that he had today. I think he came from last to 11th, and based off the times, he could have easily been top 5. So for us, I think it was honestly probably his best race that he's had so far this season. It just doesn't show in the placement.
Joe Moto now. Jason yesterday mentioned that he's still kind of testing during the week, trying to get the motorcycle better for him. How did that testing kind of pay out today? Did he feel like the bike was better, and how far off do you think you are from getting Jason to the point where he's super happy with the bike?
Yeah, I haven't had the time to download with him yet, so when we get back to the pits, we'll do that. But for right now, I think we're in a good spot. But I mean, these athletes, they're always trying to find that little inch, right? So it's just a continual process throughout the weeks.
Ryan, it's from Cycle News. Last week, Kenny had mentioned that he kind of got held up by Jason coming through the main event. Was there anything after the race that you guys talked about, or just kind of a racing incident kind of thing?
Nope. They're athletes. They're racers. They want to win. There's a lot of testosterone. That's all it is,
It's unfortunate news that Larry's going to be out for a while. Is there anything you're changing staff-wise to fill to get some more help if he's not available?
Yeah, I think, Larry, him not being here is a pretty big void. He's texting throughout the day. He's talking with the riders throughout the day. We're sending him videos instantly. So he's still very much involved. But yeah, there's some more guys at the races to kind of fill that void that he has. But Larry's still very much involved in the day-to-day.